Gorgers were one of the most heavily nerfed units after release. They were definitely one of the most overpowered units on release. Now, though, they've had a little bit of their weapon strength restored back. Today, I've got a replay from Ronin. And just wanted to make sure I got that right. Playing up against Ice Powers, Dark Elves. Ice Power, well known for being a very good Dark Elf player. Definitely got his work cut out for him. He's coming in with Scrag. He's got a Giant here. Some Gorgers up front, 3 Gorgers, some Ogres with dual weapons as well, a single Lead Belcher. Got some of the Noblar Trappers scattered around with some regular Noblars for the Dark Elf side. Marathi Double Manticore, we've got some Shades, some Witch Elves, lots of Spears, of course, and some Dark Riders with shields for flexibility. Relatively simple build, but I like a lot of what's going on here. So, a few reasons why Gorgers were so overpowered. I mean, obviously they're unbreakable, which gives them permanent frenzy. They are pretty decent DPS units. They're very squishy, though. Mostly no armor, no melee defense, no like physical resistance or anything like that. So they do rely quite a bit on Scrag, who's also here, obviously. You can give them a little bit of extra healing and damage resistance, and weapon damage and armor-piercing weapon damage every time the unit makes the kill. So they will get a little bit of regeneration as long as you take Scrag, but mostly because they're unbreakable stock Vanguard, they were always very good in domination. Less so in land battles. They, even... Oh, God, don't look at the Noblars. Even, late in the... I should say, on release, Gorgers weren't that strong in land battles, but they definitely can be quite good if deployed correctly here. They're going to get a great charge into some Dread Spears, but the Witch Elves now counterattack back over. Definitely should have probably cleaned out or cleared out and screened through those Noblars. The other unit kind of runs up here in the center unsupported. No Noblars or anything like that. They're going to get mass shredded by Shades, and that's definitely a problem with Gorgers. There are heals here on Scrag. You could toss a heal, like on this unit especially. It's just now starting to lose its unit models. You can heal a lot of those unit models, get them back up to strength, then they can get some of their own passive healing. I find often, Gorgers, because their healing requires them to get a few kills to kind of get going, right? You really need to help them sustain through their first engagement, most importantly. So an early Bull Gorger would have been nice to see here, but instead, we've just got this unit of Gorgers getting pounded out by Dark Riders. Marathi, Manticore jumps in there, so it's pretty rough initially. But on the sides, Saber Tusk Packet into Dark Rider should be a pretty decent engagement. Side-shotting Lead Belchers through infantry. A lot of you were, personally offended that I dared to compare Lead Belchers to Shot to Greybows. And, okay, maybe I didn't emphasize enough that obviously these guys are more of an anti-infantry bent, but I still feel the units are comparable. They're both long-range armor-piercing shooting. Anyway, yeah, the side-shotting through infantry, especially, though, with this kind of an angle, is going to net a lot of kills. This unit of Shades already taking significant damage. This one over here as well, getting pounded out by the Giant. Marathi, trying not to get stuck in between the Scrag, yes, and the Giant. But also the Gorgers, handful of Gorgers in here on a surround. Gorgers, if they do get a surround on a character, can do quite well, but Marathi, a little bit of flying bug there. Unfortunate to see that that's still a part of the game. Hopefully, I was really hoping that particular bug would have been fixed quite some time ago, but here we are. A little bit of a Soul Stealer, though, to help thin out some of these Ogre models, and things are looking a little bit rough for the Ogre Kingdoms. They have managed to rout off a lot of this Dark Elf infantry. The Witch Elves, Dread Spears, taking a lot of damage. Last of the Gorgers, too, still fighting on top of the Shades here. And Shades are not pushovers in terms of combat, so as long as they're actually fighting back, they whip their little swords out and start whacking these Gorgers. Yeah, you can see they fell one in a pretty big hurry. This other one should get dragged down too. Little shanks right in the hip. Oof, painful. Last of the Gorgers goes down there. We've still got one more from this unit, kind of pursuing that Manticore back over. The Giants definitely going to be a huge presence to deal with because there was so much damage done to the Shades already. They've lost quite a bit of ammunition from losing models, and that should help protect Giant into the late game. Another pretty nice volley there from the Lead Belchers, although at this point they probably should switch target onto these other Shades here. But anyway, Giant coming in to pound it out with the Manticore. Manticore is enraged, so it won't be able to pull away from this engagement. And Ogre Kingdom's Giants in particular are just so good because you can heal them so efficiently. And we'll watch for some heals from Scrag into the late game. But right now, it's definitely anyone's game. Both players have taken significant losses on their army with mostly just single entities left. But the Shades are definitely a presence to be reckoned with here. They are doing some DPS over time to the Giant. Another little Soul Stealer here as well. But as Morathi dives in, trying to do a little bit of DPS to, like, these Lead Belters especially. Yeah, I was going to say the Manticore can probably just dive the Lead Belters directly, kill a few models, hopefully terrify them away, and even if Scrag or, you know, something else comes in here to counteract the Manticore, it should still be able to disrupt those Lead Belters, not allow them to just continue firing. Dark Riders also pushing through. High charge on the Dark Riders, 40 charge bonus. For a unit of light cavalry of this cost is pretty decent. Scrag gets hit by a nice little Doom Bolt there, but the Manticore does go down. Likewise, Witch Elves get through and manage to get on top of the Lead Belchers. That's a pretty big issue, because they now go into the out of control and rage. They can't pull away from these Witch Elves, and although they might end up winning out in the end there, a little bit of side-shotting from some Trappers to provide a little bit of extra range support. It's still pretty painful to have taken that damage in the first place, and the pick of the Witch Elves actually has been fairly decisive, like making Scrag go out of control here, making all these various units unable to be microed, allows Ice Power a little bit more breathing space to kind of reposition or regather his units, start to chase some routing units off as well, but it's going to be a very tight finish here, guys. Scrag, obviously, still quite a bit of healing. Love to see Troll Guts at this point on the Giant. To put him back would probably just about heal cap him, and would equalize this balance of power significantly. But unfortunately, I can't see the Winds of Magic for either player. It looks like Scrag, rather, is going to actually use Troll Guts on himself, which, again, I don't know if that's 100% the right call. Like, you definitely don't want Scrag getting sniped, but at the same time, you get more raw healing because of the percentage-based heals on the Giant, and likewise, the Giant's probably going to be the thing that actually kills Morathi at the end. So, I don't know. Scrag also will heal himself a little bit from casting, assuming he did bring the low attribute, Blood Gruel, which he did. He's going to throw another Bone Crusher here, which, again, magic usage-wise, I think this is ultimately a mistake. I think probably saving this for a second Bullgorger, or, Troll Guts on the Giant. Bullgorger also would have been nice, too. Honestly, I'm not really a fan of that Fist Bump spell as an AoE damage. It's pretty inefficient in my experience. It hits a relatively small strike area for how expensive it is. So generally I would just say it's better to just take Bullgorger and Troll Guts, and Bullgorger especially, such an efficient buff to throw on something like this Giant, and then just, you know, dedicate all of your Winds of Magic to that plus healing. As it is right now, Scrag's going to push on over, try and help these Saber-Tusk packs defeat the Shades. He's got to be careful, though. He does have a little bit more HP than Morathi, but definitely doesn't want to just stand and fight there. His stats are significantly worse, especially when being debuffed by Morathi's multiple stacking debuff auras. She's now going to dive in on the Giant, get a couple little anti-large hits there. Lead Belters somehow still alive, surprisingly enough, are also getting some fire into this infantry blob as well. The brave Trappers coming forward to fight Shades in melee. Not an ideal situation for them by any means, but, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And they are throwing their little daggers up close, trying to fell whatever unit models they can before they actually have to run into combat. And they do have quite a bit of volleys of daggers to throw here, so can get some actual DPS out. But again, kind of goes back to show, I do think, you know, obviously healing both of these guys was the right call, but I think the Giant should have also been priority over that. Yeah, I mean, healing Scrag, I should say, is the right call, but definitely heal the Giant as well, rather than taking the Fist Bump spell. I think you can probably even just save the gold and not take that spell at all. Likewise, the Gorgers, I mean, like I said before, they don't really perform that great in land battles anyway, or never did. So I'm not really super surprised to see them kind of underperform here as well. As the Giant goes down, that's probably going to hit army losses for the Ogres. Maybe not quite, as Scrag is still so healthy. The Lead Belchers still have a tiny bit of ammunition left. Been very impressed with how well they've been able to stay alive here, despite the Dark Elves' mobile pressure. But here comes Mama Morathi, dropping down for a couple of kills there. And another decisive Soul Stealer. Soul Stealer doesn't deal nearly the damage it does before, but still can be very effective over time with Morathi. And here, the Lead Belchers doing some single target damage, but really not a lot. And also losing a few models to that Soul Stealer. You can see them just dropping straight up. Oh, wow. I think, did they all just die? Oh, no. 2 of them are left, which means they shatter, and army losses kicks in. So, nice game. Very well played to both players. Ice Power, definitely some textbook Morathi double Manticore there, and for Ronin's side, again, I think he actually had the build he needed to win here. If he would have maybe just allocated his magic a little bit more efficiently there at the end, try and heal up the Giant, perhaps it's enough. I mean, the Shades were pretty much out of ammunition anyway, so assuming the Giant and Scrag together can defeat Morathi at the end, I think the Ogres probably win this. But from a build perspective also, Gorgers, I probably would try them out in Domination. And, you know, in this type of situation, I think the lack of support for them was a big issue. I do think with Gorgers, you almost want to, like, form them all into a big death blob and kind of roll around, like, roll up one flank and then just kind of down the line, so to speak. That way they're not taking quite so many hits, and their big stagger attacks and high DPS will throw units around a lot, and they'll just end up taking less attack animations in general in terms of getting hit less. But anyway, Scrag, pretty decent. The Lead Belter is also very solid. If you can keep them protected from Dark Elf mobility, they're definitely great here. In general, Dark Elves are weak to just high DPS units, so Lead Belters definitely fall into that category. Scrap Launchers are also pretty decent here, in my experience, as are Iron Blasters. So, yeah, no, there's an argument to be made that maybe you just cut these Gorgers and go with some more ranged tools here to kind of pressure long range, like the Scrap Launchers. Scrap Launchers are also nice and mobile, too, and do function as chariots reasonably well. They're not great single-entity chariots, especially once they're super tired, but they can definitely contribute in a late game, like, you know, against some infantry, a lot more than the Lead Belters, certainly, in terms of a melee engagement. But that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.